After working with creatives for the last 11 years, I've heard one statement more than any other. I hate marketing. I get it. It can be painful trying to figure out how to market your book or movie or comic. When I started podcasting, I had no clue how to do any of it. I was afraid of doing it wrong, looking like an idiot or making a marketing mistake that I could not recover from. It can be paralyzing. Sound familiar? If it does, let me see if I can help you. I got my MBA in marketing, so you don't have to. Sign up for a free session today to talk about your marketing goals and to see if we're a good fit. If nothing else, you'll get some insights that might ease your mind. Go to southgatesmallbusiness.com and sign up for a free session today. Welcome to Alley Chats. I'm your host, Rob Southgate. Alley Chats is a virtual artist alley featuring interviews with artists, filmmakers, podcasters, writers, really any creative person you might find at a pop culture convention. My goal is to help draw attention to cool people and to hopefully help them get some new fans. I want this podcast to raise up these amazing people and to inspire you, the listener, to chase your dreams as well. You can follow Alley Chats on Facebook and join the conversation. I'll add more social media in the future, but for now, that's the best place to interact with me. You can also email me directly if you would like to be a guest or have a guest suggestion. My email is rob@smgpods.com. Lisa, I'm excited to talk to you today. This has been a long time coming. Nobody knows the back behind the curtain stuff, but we have had a couple of misstarts. Finally, here we are. The reason we're on, if anyone's watching on video, they're probably going to get the clue very quickly from Books of Horror on your shirt. But we're here because you are going to be a guest author at Books and Brews, which is at Double Clutch Brewing Company. We'll get all the info out there. Evanston, Illinois, August 3rd. Come get your book signed. Come meet Lisa. In fact, you're in a book that we have more than one author that's in that book, so you can get all these authors signing your book. How cool is that, right?
Yeah, it's super cool. We've got lots of great things planned. I hope lots of people show up. There's a plethora of us going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be awesome. It's a great lineup, and I've been having a blast talking to everybody. A lot of them I haven't known, but then I also have people that I know in there that I know Jeff Strand. So I just interviewed Jeff and I'm like, oh my God, this is so fun. And we're going to be in the same place and we're going to go get pizza. I have a feeling, and it's going to be awesome. So
Jeff
Lisa,
is awesome, people.
Jeff is, yes. Actually, everyone's been totally awesome. You're not going to break that. I can already tell. So Lisa, why don't you tell people who you are, give a little history. Tell them who you are and how you ended up here.
Okay. Well, I'm Lisa Breanne, and I joined Books of Horror about 2.5 years or so ago. I was introduced to it by author Nick Roberts, actually. I started reading his stuff about 5 years ago, and we kind of exchanged some messages, and he brought Books of Horror, the group, to my attention. So I joined and I started kind of just posting reviews and, reading some indie stuff that interested me. And then I was approached by Tiffany to start leading discussion groups and doing some interviews and things like that for Books of Horror in some of their authors. So my first interview went up about 1.5 years ago. It was with Matt Shaw.
Oh, fantastic.
I went and spent a few hours hanging out with Matt Shaw and posted the interview, and it kind of just went from there.
Now, do you post them as audio interviews, video interviews? Are they just
Written. I
written
go
interviews?
traditional. I do
I
written
like that.
interviews. And so I like them. I like that I can come home later and sit down and replay it in my head and give it its own atmosphere.
hmm hmm Yeah, as a marketing guy, I really enjoy consuming these interviews in different formats. So I know video is the thing. Everybody wants the video, but I subscribe to the Creative Independent newsletter. There is no video or audio to be found, and I find myself reading every word every time it comes. I'm almost excited for it to come.
I like that. I like reading and I love articles. And so if there was still in my area where I live, we don't have newspapers anymore. Like there's just so, and I really enjoy that because I would still read the newspaper if that was a thing. I love magazines. And so just reading that interview back and forth, the camaraderie,
Yeah.
I pick up on it better when it's written.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love it all the different ways, obviously, because that's what I do is all the different ways. I'm a junkie that way. I can't help it, but I do love that. So I can't wait. I have actually not. I'm new to the group,
Oh,
uh, and I. It's funny because I know so many people in it, but I haven't explored very much yet. So I've seen some of the other interviews starting up, but I haven't gotten to yours yet. So now I'm really ready for it. How exciting! So you jumped into writing. So were you a writer before? I mean,
I have.
obviously writing articles is one thing, but I mean writing fiction. Were you writing before?
Yes, I just have never published. It wasn't something, it was kind of more for fun. It was like a hobby. I have these ideas, bullet points, things like that written down. And I wrote quite a few short stories and longer ones and things, but it was more for like the people I knew, my close circle entertainment, than it was really seriously about publishing and
Yeah.
going forward. Then, having kids and stuff, it's hard to juggle the time to sit down and focus on those things. It does take, a lot of it's exhausting mentally, actually. It is. I had no idea. I always used to just do it little bits here and there and not take it super seriously. Now, having a book coming out here soon, and I have to sit and focus and make it flow and get it to work. And kids in the background, mom, I'm thirsty,
Right.
mom, my brother's breathing my air, mom.
And then you got to get it back in your head. You got to figure out where you were and what the like.
Yeah, what the
Yeah.
feeling is of it. So
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yep. So you're in Candy Dish, which
Mhm.
we've talked about before on these podcasts. Uh, but you have it's sounding to me like you have a novel you're working on.
I have a novella coming out August 3rd. Yes.
Oh,
And it's my
oh, in
first, it's my debut. That's why I'm going to Books and Brews. Tiffany was she's known about it for a while, been working on it for about a year, and she wanted it to debut at Books and Brews, and she's like, "Can we get this done? And I want you there." And I said, "I will make it happen."
fantastic. Can you tell us anything about the book?
I can. So the title is Duncan Ralston is Dead, is the name of the book, and it's a novella. It was inspired by last year. I ran a couple of the discussion groups for the Indie Brawl, and I ran one for Ghostland. And so when I go to introduce the group and put the link up to join, I did a kind of a write up about each author, and it was comical, completely fabricated. But I was struggling to write Duncan's, and um, so by trade, I'm a mortician. That plays into the story. So that's my job.
Wow.
But
People
I
are dying to get that job. So that's a
right?
terrible joke. I use it every time. That's all right.
Good job though. I mean, if you write in the horror field, it definitely is a good profession to be in because there's a lot of material.
Sure.
So I went to write Duncan's write up for people joining Ghostland, and I was kind of struggling with it. And Jim Odie, he gave me some advice. He's like, just write what you know. So I've wrote, I don't know, thousands of obituaries in my career, and I decided to write an obituary for Duncan Ralston. And so it was completely fabricated, just wild, like obviously none of this stuff. I think somewhere I said in there that he had started some form of animal strip club, and he gave ghost tours, haunted cemetery tours to kindergartners. And it was just completely
Just ridiculous
ridiculous.
stuff, right?
Ridiculous. Yeah. And for some reason, that obituary went viral, and people were talking about it and sharing it and laughing about it. Some people took it seriously. So it was just, I think I killed him off. He was smothered in one of those wacky, wiggly, inflatable arm guys. So, I mean, obviously it wasn't real. But it kind of bred this idea in my head of what would be the world's reaction if Duncan was killed, and how his death would cause a pandemonium of panic and just rioting and blood in the streets, and just the world would burn. So I started working on it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm excited to read it. This sounds great. I think it's really exciting that it's going to debut at Books and Brews. So you'll be there signing, and maybe somebody will
Hello.
bring one of their inflatable things and
They should. I
sign
need
it.
to see if I can get some little mini ones that are
A
merch
little
or
mini.
something.
You know what?
Little.
That's the kind of thing I always think about. If I find one, I'm going to contact you, because that
Thank
would be
you.
a great thing to give out.
Well, I'm
Uh,
super lucky because Duncan Ralston's also going to be there, and that the fact that he was inspired my debut, and I'm going to be sitting pretty close in proximity where my table is to him, is just like incredible to me.
that's amazing. How fun. So has it always been horror? Is that your like
Uh,
passion, or did you
I'd say
just find the group because you
primarily.
liked what Nick was writing? And
Yes, no, I love horror. I started reading it when I was really, really young. That's my go-to. I do read historical fiction and some dark fantasy. I have in there. I have some standard fiction. I have some memoirs, some autobiographies, but primarily horror, yes.
yeah, so if you were hard pressed to name your top three right now, who would you say are your
Horror
top
or
three?
books in general?
Oh, you know what? We always talk horror on here. I want to hear your top three. You want to do books or authors?
Oh gosh, I could do a mixture of both.
Let's do it.
Okay. My favorite book of all time is Into the Wild by John Krakauer.
What an amazing book.
That is my absolute favorite book I have ever read. It's one of the only ones I've ever reread. I don't reread a lot of books.
Mhm.
And John Krakauer, I've read everything he's done. So it might probably be in my top favorite authors of all time because just love him. I've gone to hear some of his lectures. I've corresponded with him a few times back and forth. Just because I love the way he writes.
Yeah.
The emotion that goes in to it. It's heavy and you really feel a connection to his characters. So that one, Lamb by Christopher Moore, is my second favorite book of all time. I've reread
Wow.
it several times. Chris is an amazing guy. I've gone to several of his signings and talked with him. But Lamb, yeah, by Christopher Moore is my second. And gosh, well, favorite authors. Nick Roberts is my one of my absolute favorite indie authors
Sure.
of all time. He's kind of who really got me in to reading more indie than mainstream, and I appreciate that because most of them have been significantly better, in my personal opinion. One that stands out to me lately was Stuck by Ben Young.
Oh,
Really,
yeah. I
oh
haven't
my
read
gosh.
this yet. I keep seeing it on the
Oh,
group, and
oh, it is
the
probably my third
cover
favorite. Oh,
really, because
it's
the cover
fantastic.
bothers the hell out of me, because like it says, this will make you claustrophobic. I don't have a problem with that, but that cover, I'm like, oh God. So I'm gonna have to read this.
Oh, I 100% recommend reading it. There's been very few books that like sit with me for a long
Yeah.
time where I'm thinking about them later on, or I'll be just driving, minding my own business, and it'll pop into my head and I'll get that clench of remembering how it made me feel. Stuck is one of those. It
Oh,
is absolutely incredible.
you have sold me. I am absolutely gonna read that.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
so good.
I'm telling you that cover, and it's not even that it's that. I mean, it's somebody in a hole with a flashlight.
Mhm.
There's
It's simplistic
something,
and
it's something
terrifying.
about it that it terrifies the hell out of me.
Mhm. I
Fantastic. See, well, you did it. You did a nice blend of favorites there. Uh, Now you mentioned all these other genres
Mhm.
that you do read, with horror being your primary. Do you think that horror I know there's a lot of cross genre that happens out there.
There is.
What do you feel about that though? Do you feel that horror has kind of infiltrated, it's kind of everywhere, or do you feel like, well, there are elements here and there, but really horror is horror, fantasy is fantasy? Do you
No, 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 no. There's horror in everything. You can read a romance novel and there'll be something horror, adjacent in there.
yeah,
Think I horror to me is not necessarily, it can't be pigeonholed like that because horror is different for everybody. And a lot of people, they have triggers, for
yeah,
example. So I can read a book where, let's say, an animal gets hurt and be perfectly fine. Other people are like, I won't even read that. That's horror for them.
yeah.
I don't usually do personally extreme horror is not really my subgenre. I like a lot of the grief horror is my favorite. I like the really heavy.
Oh, you're one of those, huh?
Yes, I love the ones that make you think and make you feel, or you can relate to them in some way, with trauma.
Yeah,
I really enjoy those ones. And paranormal, I like that. Ghost stories are great. Mike Salt just came out with an amazing haunted house one. It all ends horribly. He's a tremendous author. So
yeah, yeah.
those ones are, I navigate towards those.
So in real life, outside of your reading life,
Mhm.
you like the paranormal stuff like that. Do you like paranormal in general? Are you interested in Bigfoot and aliens and ghosts and all that?
Alien horror is one of my favorites. When it comes to different, subgenres, there's so many. But yeah, I love watching Ancient Aliens, those shows. My son and I have a 11-year-old little boy. Um, we're big into ghosts, so we like to go ghost hunting into
Ooh, fun.
haunted areas around I live in the state of Washington, so there's a lot of fun, creepy, haunted places here. So we go and he takes his, EMF reader and we have a camcorder and night vision and stuff, and we like to go and explore.
Want more shows like this? We've got a lot more on the Southgate Media Group Patreon page. Some free, some paid. Plus, there's exclusive content for subscribers only. Follow the link in the show notes or look up Southgate Media Group on Patreon and check out the cool stuff we're doing over there. You won't be sorry. On August 3rd, 2024, Books of Horror is presenting Books and Brews at Double Clutch Brewing Company in Evanston, Illinois. There will be over 40 horror authors for a book signing and meetup from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. that day. Meet your favorite authors, discover new authors, meet Books of Horror friends in real life, including the author I'm talking with on this podcast. Oh, and I'll be there too. This is an all-ages event. Food, alcohol, and non-alcoholic beverages will be available. No outside food or drinks will be allowed. Search for Books of Horror Presents Books and Brews on Facebook events for more information, or click on the link in the show notes. I hope to see you there. All right, now I'm putting you on the spot. Welcome to my paranormal show. Give me have you had any really good experiences?
Not in any of those locations, weirdly enough, but working in funeral homes for as long as I have, yes, I have
Yeah.
had several. There was an old one that shut down now, was in Seattle, Washington, called Blight's Funeral Home, and it was very much haunted by Mr. Blights, who was the original owner.
Oh, tell me.
Well, there was one time I was bringing a decedent in. It was really late at night, like 1 o'clock in the morning. I had picked up a decedent and I was dropping them off for a service that was coming up. And we drop off behind the building down into a basement. So I drop in and I move the decedent, get them all checked in the cooler, and I had to use the bathroom. So I went up into the funeral home area, and I had never been to the third floor that was above the funeral facility. It was originally funeral homes housed the families that ran them up in, their third floor, like
Like
in a.
6 feet under does that, where the family lives
Yeah.
up above. Yeah.
Yes. So Blythe's was no different. So I decided, well, you know what? It's closed for the day. I'm the only one in the building. I'm just going to go take a peek and see what it looks like up there. And so I use the restroom. I go upstairs and I'm walking around. Well, to get up the stairs, you have to move a couple of those big, heavy blockers, like
Hmm.
they're what have those velvet ropes on them.
Yep.
And there's several of them in front of the staircase to block people from going up. So I moved them and they were heavy as all get out. And I had to, hoof them, over to the side so I could get up. So I went up there and I'm walking around and I'm looking around and it was really cool. It was just beautiful because it's an old building, very Victorian style. And I loved it. It was gorgeous. And I go to leave. Well, I go back down the stairs and they've all been moved back in front of the stairs. So I couldn't get down.
Yep.
I was like, the alarm had been set. So there was it would have gone off if somebody had come in. I would have
Yeah.
heard it. And so I was like, hello, hello, hello. No, nothing. So I'm like, well, shoot, I had to climb over the railing to get around because I couldn't step over this big thing.
Yeah.
So I had to
Yeah.
climb kind of over the railing and ooch my way down. So that was really eerie, that happened. And then as I was leaving, I got into my van, back into my removal van and was heading back to the office. And up the top window of the building, I saw the outline of a very grumpy looking old man on the third floor.
Well, you went upstairs, and that was
I,
your fault.
I shouldn't have gone upstairs, but I had
Yeah.
to know. I had to see. So
Yeah.
it's been little things like that throughout my career that I have come across that were, obviously something's going on. I know not a lot of people believe in that. I absolutely do, where I felt the energy difference
Yep.
and
Yeah. I had
yeah.
my own experience that I didn't believe in any of that. I mean, I like all that stuff, but I didn't really believe in ghosty stuff and that. And I had an experience, and it had multiple things attached to it that I was like, oh, yeah, something's happening here. And I'd prefer not to get too deep into those things. You know what I mean? Because it can be very weird. Even though,
Yeah.
think about it, it's a ghost. What are they going to do to you?
I don't know. I've seen some movies that,
Well, yeah, movies. And are those just ghosts or are those demons?
I
Right?
don't, right? Yeah, I don't know. Ghosts probably not. And I think more often than not, they're not here to be malicious in any way.
Yeah.
They're just stuck here for
Yeah.
whatever reason. And
Yeah. It's like
I'm
looping
not really
energy or whatever
scared.
it is. And they just don't
Yeah,
like you using their bathroom on the third
they
floor.
don't like them using the bathroom. Yeah, they weren't happy about that.
No. No. So do you think writing horror, as
Mhm.
opposed to being somebody consuming it, but do you think writing horror has taught you anything about yourself?
Yes. Yeah, I'd say the act of writing, maybe more than genre itself.
Okay.
I am not as patient as I thought I was. So I get very, turns out I do have a bit of a temper. There's been several times during this writing process I've wanted to throw my computer across the room and say, I give
Yep.
up. I can't do it. But honestly, I think the genre itself has taught me a lot of I don't know how to word this right. Acceptance. I've seen a lot of backlash and with authors and unfair judgment based on the things that they write about and the topics that they write about. I have encountered a lot of sad bias, and that I think has taught me a lot about being more vocally accepting of people.
Hmm.
Not that I was never not accepting prior, but just standing up for that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Well,
that's really cool.
in your what you were doing before, I mean, you're
Mhm.
probably still doing, you mentioned that you were writing some reviews and that. Do you think that this experience will change that in any way? Like less criticism, more just reviewing, or do you think it'll have an effect at all?
I would love to keep I love reviewing. I love reading and promoting these guys. What I'm excited about the most is, okay, if my book sells, and it may or may not, I hope it does well, but if not, no harm, no foul. But being able to make money off of it, my biggest thing was I was so excited to be able to put that back in to the rest of the authors, because I love buying their stuff. I love promoting them, and I love attending conventions and being able to meet them in person. So I think I'll probably just turn around and it'll just go right back into
Yeah, yeah.
doing my reviews and stuff. Yeah.
Now, do you find that your reviews are actually, there's a better way to ask this question because I'm dancing around something here. Uh, I love how podcasting is imperfect. You know, we're like that big quilt that we put that flaw
Yeah.
in. I with your reviewing, have you ever felt that you read something that you didn't like? You felt like, man, I don't want to write this review, or I don't want to say that to this person. Did you ever pull back from it?
Um,
You don't
no.
have to name names.
Oh, I don't mind naming names. That
Okay.
doesn't, because I've talked to these guys one on one. Um, it's an unpopular opinion. I was not a fan of Stolen Tongues. And it's a very unpopular opinion, but I absolutely adore Felix completely. I think he is wildly talented. I read his other stuff. I'm about to start The Church Beneath the Roots. I
Ooh,
don't
fun.
believe, even if a book wasn't necessarily for me, I don't write that author off. I don't say, oh, well, I'm not going to like them. I will continue to read their things. Not every book is for every person. I loved the idea of Stolen Tongues. I loved the beginning of Stolen Tongues. For me, the rest of the story just kind of fell flat, but that is my opinion. And I
Okay.
still wrote the review, and I still highly recommend people read it, because I think it is for a lot of people. I think that it is a wonderful concept for a story, and I love his character development in it. It offers so much nuance. So I do still highly recommend it. So that's kind of how I go about my reviews, is even if a book isn't for me, I will point out all the reasons why people should still give it a shot.
So if somebody doesn't like yours, which is impossible, that will
Oh, yeah.
never be part of our reality, but
Oh,
let's say we're in an alternate reality and somebody doesn't like it, you're okay with that.
oh yeah. What people think about me or what I do is none of my business.
That's really a healthy way to look at it. I was out with some filmmakers last night and we were talking about this and how they've had friends that read one review and it derailed them. And I'm like, you know what? Either don't read the reviews or don't worry about it because that's
Oh,
one person, you
well,
know?
I just, I have a plan. I feel like if somebody, writes a negative review, I'm just going to find out if they have kids and send out a postcard letting them know Santa isn't real.
Or send them a postcard from the funeral home and say, can't wait to see you next summer.
Yeah.
Address it to their kids. So the kids are like, Mom? Well, this has been great. Once again, they can buy your book launch day, August 3rd at Books and Brews. That's the
Oh
event. There's going to be, what is it, 40 authors there, Double
my gosh,
Clutch
40,
Brewing
45. So
Company.
many of us. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's so
it's crazy. It's crazy. And like, it's funny because, well, let me finish that. Double Clutch Brewing Company, Evanston, Illinois, August 3rd. Okay. It's crazy because when I look at that list,
many.
there are certain people because I know some of these authors like personally, and I'm like, they're big authors. I'm really excited. Like, wow, they're all in one place. And then there are authors that I didn't know that I've been interviewing, and I am freaking out because I found everybody so lovely. Their idea is so great. I can't wait to read these books. I think this is just a wonderful event. I think it's a wonderful group.
Oh, I do too.
Um, yeah, I mean,
I'm
it's
so
really great.
overwhelmed. I'm
Yeah,
so overwhelmed.
so everybody come down, meet Lisa, get your book signed, uh, stand in front of her and do the big floppy thing. She'll love it. She'll think you're one of those blow up guys. She'll start telling you stories and follow. Do you have a newsletter? Do you have a
I
newsletter
don't have
yet?
a newsletter because I'm just starting out, so I'm just kind of breaking into, but I am on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, and as soon as somebody teaches me how to do TikTok, I'll be on there as well. I have one. You guys can follow me. I upload once in a while. I have no idea what I'm doing.
No problem. I know people that can help you. So in the meantime, before she gets this newsletter, follow her on social media and interact with her. I'll tell you what, as a new author, this is something really important. I say this on other shows I do, but I haven't said it on one of these. So you get the preferential treatment. This is when I put on my marketing hat. Okay.
Okay.
The
Okay.
thing you can do for Lisa, here she's a new author. You want to encourage her. Don't just put a heart or a thumbs up on the things that she has. Share it, write a comment. Do that like crazy. It helps the algorithm so that other people will see her stuff, and it's going to be the fuel that's going to keep her going, keep her writing, keep the interest up. So
Oh,
there you
thank you
go.
so much. Yes, please.
There you go. The marketing hat is now off. I'm back to being a jackass. This was great, Lisa. Thank you so much for coming on. I can't
Thank you
wait to
so
meet you in person.
much.
Oh, I got one more question, and I'm going to force you to ask it. You said you're out in Washington. You're going to be in Chicago. Is this your first
I
time
am.
here?
No, I was there last year. I attended Tombs of Terror in Bloomington.
Oh, yeah, my dad's hometown. That's Bloomington, which is right next to Normal. My standing joke is it's the closest my dad ever was to Normal.
Oh, I love
Uh, See, I got a laugh out of this joke that has
I
bombed
like
for
that.
50 years. Uh, so coming back to Chicago, what is the thing you're most excited to see or eat or do?
Well, this event is this event is huge to me. I'm about to be, a equal as an author at an event that has some of the people I have idolized, looked up to, and has been a massive inspiration to me for a very long time. So getting to be there at the same time doing the same thing as them is like my heart's racing. I'm so
How do you
nervous.
beat it,
I'm
right?
so nervous. Yes, I'm excited. And I love the Chicago area. When I was there last year, it was beautiful. I would like to hopefully this year check out a little bit more of the touristy things to do that I didn't get the opportunity last year because I had to head back home.
Well, if you need any advice on places, just reach out to me. I've lived here most of my life. I know it inside and out. And I'll tell you where to eat because that is the most important thing. Where to get the coffee, where to eat.
I
So
was There's a place that has like calzone or pizzas that are like a pot pie.
yeah, the
I
Chicago
saw.
Oven Grinder and Pizza Company.
Oh, they make okay, there. Is it good?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Okay. I keep seeing the videos for it and the ads for it, and I was like, I really want a giant pizza pot pie thing. That looks
Yeah,
amazing.
it's Chicago Pizza and Oven Grinder. I think it's in Lincoln Park. Um,
And you recommend it?
highly,
Hi.
highly.
Okay. Okay, then I'm
Yes.
going.
So there you go. All right. Oh wait, no, I'm not talking about my wife is interjecting into a live podcast. She
That's awesome.
she's celiac, so she thought I was giving a recommendation on gluten-free. I
Oh
am
God.
not saying gluten-free on that. Yes, okay. And if you're gluten-free, anyone out there, Chicago's Pizza, literally just called Chicago's Pizza, is excellent. But the one you're talking about is not gluten-free, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's super good. Back when we could eat gluten, we ate there and it was great. So there you
Okay.
go. All right. So you
So,
got a bonus. You got my wife chiming in about gluten-free.
well, that's great. That's good to know though, because anybody watching who happens to be gluten free and doesn't know where to go there, that's good.
Yeah, they can reach out to me too, because obviously there's an expert in the house that'll tell you exactly where to go. Yeah, there you go. Well, Lisa, thank you. This was so much fun.
Much, Rob. I really appreciate it. It
And the
was a lot of
best
fun.
of luck with this book. I know I want one. So I will be seeing you on August 3rd.
All right. See you then.
It would really help me out if you would rate and review this show on whatever platform you use to listen to this podcast. Good reviews help others find the show, which ultimately helps the people I've interviewed get more exposure. You can connect with me on social media or via email. All the links are found in the show notes. If you like this show, you'll like other shows from Southgate Media Group as well, such as Read Between the Lines, a podcast featuring insightful interviews with some of the hottest authors out there, or Go Fund This, a podcast where we interview people about their amazing crowdfunding projects. You can find our shows wherever you listen to podcasts, so give them a try. And if you like what you hear, don't forget to rate and review our shows. It really helps other people find them and keep our team inspired. Alley Chats is a production of Southgate Media Group, hosted, produced, and edited by me, Rob Southgate. Thanks again for listening to Alley Chats.